Here I'll give you some traces or examples of how the discourse in textbooks is constructed. One aspect of this construction of various kinds of discourses in textbooks can be seen in the marginalization or exclusion of certain community groups from these discourses. Even in textbooks which are assumed to be, or which ideally should be, free from such biases, are actually not free from such biases in the real world. They may promote a certain dominant discourse to support a certain dominant community in various national cultures. Therefore, there could be multiple aspects to construct such discourses or discourses within by these textbooks, but one aspect, as I said earlier, is of marginalizing certain community groups or maybe minority groups in most cases. Textbooks identify, besides this, textbook analysis so far have also identified various gender biases, gender inequality, consumerist discourses which focus on the promotion of certain consumer-based ideologies for the promotion of certain commercial interests of certain groups. Simultaneously, it has also focused on nationalist discourse or the promotion or denial of racism or such feelings in a society. For example, historical discourse analysis highlights some kind of authoritarian fascist discourse in Franco's Spain, and this study was conducted somewhere in 2004 by Pinto. Then, according to Roger and Stanton, in USA, history textbooks frame indigenous people as passive, inactive, which is a kind of marginalization of the indigenous people in USA. And you can see some traces of racism in such marginalization also. Then the findings too have found that primary level textbooks do promote some kind of group domination and portrays certain groups, minority groups, in stereotypical ways. Similarly, in Spain, textbooks portray Muslims as an immigrant community, the people who have been essentialized as immigrants, though they have been living there for many years and now for many centuries, but they would still be portrayed as immigrants, and this issue is essentialized instead of adopting a more inclusive approach in which they can be presented as a part of the nation, as an essential part of the nation. They rather have been essentialized as something which are foreigners or immigrants. Then we can see that in many other studies that these textbooks essentialize minority groups in certain ways, maybe on racist or on communal lines also, and they serve the interest of certain dominant groups and simultaneously marginalizes the minority group. Metro shows how different ethnic groups in Burma fuel inter-ethnic animosity through textbook, and certain textbooks are deliberately created on these racist or communal lines. Similarly, another study by Agro looks into American literature textbooks, and they found various kinds of discrimination in these textbooks based on race, ethnicity, gender, social class, physical and mental ability or disability of the people. So there could be multiple comments about such things. In Spain, during Franco's regime, it was found that civic textbooks included such topics like etiquette, gender, religious and class hierarchies, and while projecting these topics, they focused on the historical or cultural ethos of certain community groups at the cost of other community groups. That can be discriminating, as we all know. Overall, the studies connect various aspects of social diversity, arguing that textbooks maintain the dominant social order, inviting readers to support the social, economic, and political status quo, which is, we all know, is maintained by the majority or powerful economic group. Uh, Zhong's ecocentrical discourse analysis in China also sees how English language textbooks in China find a prevailing shallow environmentalism. In such books, the focus is on highlighting certain environmental issues, but not on uh, looking at the back of these issues, what is actually triggering the kind of economic, social, political activity or kind of political inactivity which actually triggers such issues or is exaggerating these issues every day, and that's not looked into. Rather, it is focused on that this kind of issue exists, because focusing on those aspects of these issues probably would suggest certain ways of reforming them, which may not be interest of such discourses. Overall, the studies focus on semantic content of textbooks while often contextualizing the content in curriculum and policy debates and embedding the textbooks within broader cultural discourse or classroom practice. And that's how this is constructed. The more focus is on semantic and linguistic aspects, whereas the basic or the broader views behind these issues should also be highlighted. The critical analyses are motivated by the goal of finding out whether this kind of discourse is still being produced and offered to the young generation, and what kind of impact that could have been on shaping society by maintaining some kind of power hierarchies in that society, because textbooks, as we have been arguing, can be a powerful tool for maintaining a certain kind of power relations or status quo in a society, because they project the values, the ethos of the majority powerful group at the cost of minority groups in many parts of the world. Therefore, their analysis can be very useful in not only investigating these problems in detail, but also maybe suggesting certain ways to overcome them.